Hi, today I'd like to talk to you about hesitation. And I'm going to be talking to you from Genesis chapter 19. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably familiar with this. This is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. But I'd like to just refresh your mind if you've forgotten or even if you know it, let's just take a little walk down the road and let's just do a little refresher. But before I get started in this, I want to invite you to look into the description of today's video. I have a free 7-day activating your faith guide that I'd love for you guys to have. And so if you look in the description of the video, you'll see the link. There's no charge involved. It is just my gift to you. And so I hope that you'll click the link and get your guide to the 7-day activating your faith guide. So back to the story of Sodom and Gomorrah and how that ties in with hesitation. And I'll tell you, when I was writing my book, Life Lessons, It's Time for Change, I did write about this. And when I was reading this, story, I had never really seen before. It never really stood out to me before that there was something in there about hesitation and that there was a lesson about hesitation in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. So let's just do a little refresher. Abraham and Lot have parted ways, and Lot went to Sodom and Gomorrah. That's where he went to live. And Sodom and Gomorrah was a wicked place. And it says that Lot was in Sodom, and that one evening two angels came to the entrance of the city, and Lot was at the entrance, and Lot saw them there. And so Lot invites them to come to his house and to spend the night in his house and to have food with him. But the angels were like, no, we'll just stay here right in the center of the city. We can just sleep here. We can stay here tonight. And Lot was like, no, no, please, I implore you, come to my house. And Lot basically knew that it wouldn't be safe for them to be in the city square and to be exposed like that. Lot was not ignorant of what was going on in that city, not ignorant of what the men of that city were all about. And so he tried to persuade them. And so finally they said, okay, that they would go to his house, and he made a feast for them and they ate. And so it says that before they retired for the night, all the men of Sodom, young and old, surrounded the house. All the men of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. And they were shouting, where are those men that we saw come to you? Where are those men? Bring those men out to us, because we want to know them. We want to have relations with them. I don't want to be crass, but you know what it means. We want to have intercourse with these men. Bring these men out. And so what Lot did was he came outside of his house and kind of shut the door behind him. And he talked to the guys, and he was like, hey, don't do this thing. Don't do this wicked thing. These men are here and they're under my protection. And so the men of Sodom got angry, and they questioned Lot. Who do you think you are to be our judge? You're an outsider. You're not part of us. You weren't born here. You weren't raised here. You've come here as an outsider. How can you be our judge? How can you tell us what to do where these men are concerned? Bring these men out to us. And they said, if you don't bring them out to us, we'll do even worse to you. They wanted these men so badly. And so Lot then offers him a strange offering for a father. He then says, I have two virgin daughters, and I can bring my virgin daughters out, and you guys can do with them as you please. Can you imagine? Can you imagine him as a father, knowing what the intention of these men were, knowing that there were a lot of them, both young and old, knowing their desires, and then to offer up your virgin daughters to these men, as opposed to bringing out the two men that they want? And so they didn't want his daughters, they wanted the men. And they were getting so riled up and so violent that that the angels pulled Lot back into the house, and then they blinded the men so that they couldn't even see. All the men, they blinded them. And so, because they couldn't see and they couldn't find the men, they got frustrated, and then they left. And so the angels tell Lot, they said, do you have any other family in this city? Is there anybody else in the city that you need to warn? Because you need to warn them. Do you have son-in-laws? Do you have other sons? Do you have other daughters? If you do, you need to warn them to get out of the city. And so it says that when Lot went to warn the young men to get out of the city, his daughter's fiancés, it says that basically they laughed at him. They thought that he was joking. And so at dawn the next morning, the angels become insistent. The New Living Translation says that they became insistent. They said, hurry up. They told Lot to take his wife and to take his daughters and to get out of the city, because they're getting ready to destroy the city, because God has told them to destroy the city. And so they're saying, take your wife and take your daughters and hurry up and get out of this city, because we're about to destroy the city. Now that brings me to what I want to talk about today in hesitation. And I want to even read this verse to you. And that is Genesis chapter 19 in verse 16 in the New Living Translation. And it says, when Lot still hesitated, the angel seized his hands and the hands of his wife and two daughters and rushed them out to safety outside the city, for the Lord was merciful. It says that when Lot still hesitated, these angels have told him, we're going to destroy the city. We're under instructions by God. We're going to destroy the city. Get your wife, get your daughters, and get out of this place. And it says that Lot still hesitated, knowing what was going to happen, knowing what the angels were about to do. He was still hesitant. And so much so that the angels had to seize him. They had to grab him by the hand. They had to grab him, grab the hands of his wife, grab the hands of his daughter, and they had to forcefully take them out of the city. And it said that they did that because God is merciful. Has there ever been a time? Have you ever encountered a situation where God told you move, where God told you don't stay in this situation, where God told you don't stay in this environment, don't stay in this atmosphere? It is time for you to move, but you hesitate. Why? Because where you're at may be comfortable, and to actually move may be causing you to go into an uncomfortable situation. But God is telling you to move. Hesitation can lead to destruction. Had Lot, his wife, and his two daughters stayed in that city, had the angels not grabbed them by the hand and forcefully taken them out of the situation, destruction would have been their end. They would have been destroyed like everyone else who was in Sodom and Gomorrah. But God is merciful. Sometimes God is prompting us to move. He is prompting us to do something. He is prompting us to make a decision. He's prompting us to do things a different way. And sometimes we hesitate. But before he allows that situation to destroy us, he will prompt us in some way. He will forcefully move us out of the situation. Sometimes he makes things so uncomfortable for us that we have no alternative except to move. We have no alternative except to move because the situation becomes so uncomfortable. But wouldn't it be so much better as opposed to hesitating, as opposed to God making it so uncomfortable that we have to move, that we would just move? I'm reminded of the story of the eagles. And it says that when the eagles build their nests, they put a layer of things that are sticky, things that are prickly, things that will cause pain to the baby eagles deep down in the nest. And then they put all this cushy, comforting things on top of that. And so that when the little eaglets are born, when the eggs hatch, it is not an uncomfortable situation for them. It's a safe environment, it's a comfortable situation. But as the eaglets are growing older, the parent eagles know that it is time for these eagles to fly the nest. And so they will try to encourage the eagles to fly and to get out of the nest. But if the eagles are reluctant, what the parents start doing is they start plucking this comfortable cushioning, this comfortable feathering, whatever they put in the nest to make it comfortable for the eagles. They start taking that out, and little by little, the stuff that they put down in the nest that's uncomfortable, those things that prick the little eagles, those things that cause them discomfort and pain, becomes more apparent, so that the parent eagles make it an uncomfortable situation. And so it encourages the eagles to fly and to be on their own. And sometimes God has to do that same thing to us because we get so comfortable in a situation. We get so comfortable at a level. We get so comfortable with doing things the same way we've been doing them. We get so comfortable with the status quo. We get so comfortable with the people that we're around. We get so comfortable with the situations that we're in that God says that He has to make things uncomfortable so we will move because we hesitate. So, all I want to tell you today is take a lesson from Lot. Don't hesitate. When God tells us to move, let's move. When God tells us to do things differently, let's do things differently. When God tells us this isn't going to work for us anymore, let's realize that we have to do it another way. Let's stop hesitating. Let's not have to be forcefully moved from a situation, but let's just be obedient and listen to what God tells us and move when He says move. Again, I want to tell you that if you look in the description, you'll find a link for a free resource that I'm offering, which is a 7-day guide to activating your faith. I think you guys will enjoy it. It's not a lot of work. It's brief. It will give you a theme for today, that day. It'll give you a focus for that day. It'll give you a faith move for that day. It will give you an ask for that day, an ask or a prayer for that day, and it'll give you a say, which is a declaration for that day. So, again, I hope you will click the link and you'll get the free guide 7 days to activating your faith. My name is Jody Meza. This is Faith in Action, and thank you for joining me today.